I think we will quickly go to all the spotters because we will not be having too much of time for spotters. Maybe maximum we'll have 10 minutes. We'll strictly go by time also. Okay, Dr. Lakshmi, we'll start off right
Oh,
away. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Pratik, a third
Yes,
year
ma'am.
MCH student, a student of Jayesh P. Sachdev and from BJ Medical College. He is presenting a post-traumatic ear defect to Dr. JJ sir. Pratik,
Yes,
present
ma'am.
fast.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Uh, I think so. Yes, ma'am. Am I visible, ma'am?
Yeah. Your screen is
Uh,
not. Yeah. It's there.
yes, ma'am.
Present briefly, fast.
Uh, this is I'm myself, Dr. Pratik. I'm presenting the spotter for the post-traumatic ear defect. This is the two views provided for the post-traumatic ear defect. As per the diagnosis, it's the right side post-traumatic middle one-third ear helical defect with exposed anti-helical cartilage in an adult male patient. There is approximately 3.5 cross 1.5 centimeter size defect, which is extending up to the posterior auricular groove in the middle part. And there is loss of middle one-third of the helix, scapha, and the medial side of the skin. The part of the helical cartilage is exposed in the superior part of the wound, and the rest of the anatomical landmark of the ear appears normal.
Show the lateral view.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. These are the two views. This is the middle one-third of the helical defect. Yes, sir. So should I go for my plan of management?
Jaganmohan sir. Jaganmohan sir.
Okay. Now, is this an acute injury? As a picture you see, is
Yes, sir.
acute or it's been a few days? Yeah.
No,
Are you
sir.
able
It's
to
an
hear
acute.
me?
Acute.
I'm here.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, it's an
Are you able
acute
to hear me,
injury.
Pratik? Are
Yes,
you able
sir.
to hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You
sir.
are audible. We can hear you, sir.
You are able to hear me, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it from the picture? It looks like an acute injury or it's old injury?
Sir, it's an
Acute
acute
injury.
injury, sir.
Is it an acute?
Yes, sir.
Acute injury. So when you
Yes.
just see at a spotter, what are the two? If I ask, allow
Yes.
you only to ask only two questions. What will you ask? Only two questions to the patient.
Sir,
What will you ask?
sir, I will ask about the mode of the injury, and the other thing will be the plan of the injury for the patient. Hello, sir. I would also ask about the severed part of the if it is the patient has carried that
Direct.
part with him, or the he has lost the part.
Jaganmohan sir. Sir. Hello.
Sir is, I think,
Yeah.
sir is again lost the contact, I
Connectivity.
think.
Yeah.
Connectivity, yeah.
Yeah.
GK
So
sir,
what
you
is
want to
the
ask some? Yeah.
yeah? What is the plan? I mean, what is the discussion about actually?
Whether it's a acute injury or
Yeah.
long-term
Correct.
injury. That is what sir had asked.
What
Okay.
will he
Now,
ask?
yes. Now,
One thing
what
is that mode of
Hello, sir.
Hello.
He's come back, JJ, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but we're
But
not
I
able
think
to
audio is
listen to
not.
him. Audio is not coming.
Sir, it's got muted, sir. I think he wants to know the mode of injury.
Yes.
Yes.
What is the second question you asked?
Sir, I will ask about the amputated part or the severed part of the ear. If the patient has carried that part with him, or the conditions in which the part was carried.
Okay, right. You will be asked about the amputate. What happened to the amputate? Okay, if he has brought the amputate, what is going to be your plan?
Sir, the mainly it is depends on the time of injury and the mode he carried that amputated part. Even though the time been much, I can use that amputated part and the cartilage as a scaffolding and provide the after if proper infection has been if the proper debridement has been done, I can use that amputated part cartilage as a scaffolding with local coverage.
How you are going to use that scuff? How are you going to use this cartilage? What are you going to do with the cartilage? It's going to be with the skin, isn't it? It's come as a with skin.
Yes,
It's going to be. How are you going to use it?
Sir, I would have to remove all the skin subcute and the perichondrium and use the cartilages to use in this.
What you are going to do with it? Where are you going to keep it?
Keep in the anti-helical, helical, the lost part, sir. Or I can bury that cartilage in a tunnel, providing a tunnel in the posterior auricular skin.
Yes. Suppose if it is a infected wound, it's a case of a human bite, you cannot do it
Yes, sir.
immediately. So
Yes,
better
sir.
you save the cartilage by keeping it in a post-auricular pocket where in a correct position where you can transfer it to the ear.
Yes,
Okay.
for
Now
that,
the
I
time
will
being
have to
limited,
yes, sir.
what about your chances of a replant?
Sir, replant in the upper part is successful if the microvascular microsurgical expertise is available and the setup is available. I can go for the replant for the amputated part.
Okay. What are the vessels supplying the ear?
Sir, ear is majorly supplied by the posterior auricular artery, which is the artery of the which is the branch of the external carotid artery. In the terminal branches of the external carotid artery.
What are the terminal branches?
It is the superficial temporal artery and the
Why don't you
posterior
specific?
auricular artery.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Posterior auricular artery and superficial temporal. Suppose
Yes,
if
sir.
replantation is feasible, what is
Yes,
the
sir.
most common complication that can occur immediately after replant in this case? If it is feasible, you're able to do anastomosis. What is the most expected complication after the replant?
Hematoma and the loss of the implanted part.
Yeah, no. Arterial anastomosis may be possible, but venous anastomosis is very difficult. The flap may go for venous congestion.
Venous congestion, sir. Yes.
So, yeah, because the vessels are so the most common complication can occur if the tissue survives. It is because the difficulty will be the venous congestion, and you have to undertake measures to relieve the venous congestion. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, taking it as a defect, how we are going to reconstruct it?
Sir, for this I have two options. First, after primary debridement, I can provide the local coverage with the ipsilateral conchal cartilage or the contralateral conchal cartilage as the scaffolding. And if the patient is agree, I can go for the stage procedure in which I have to go for the first the primary debridement and the secondly will have to reconstruct with a tubed pedicle or the converse tunnel procedure.
You want to do a converse tunnel procedure.
In converse tunnel procedure, we create a subcutaneous tunnel in the posterior auricular sulcus, and we just attach the superior and inferior part of that tunnel to the ear superior helical and inferior helical pole. And in this tunnel, we usually put a costal cartilage for the helical rim reconstruction. And with this, in the second stage, we just elevate that portion of the subcutaneous tunnel and providing the posterior part coverage with the skin graft.
When you create a tunnel, you make an incision on the top and the bottom, and under between these two incisions is a tunnel. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
it will have it's a bipedical. It will be a bipedical roof. The tunnel
Yes.
will have a bipedical roof, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
You understand? It's a
Yes, sir.
bipedical roof. So when you want to put in a cartilage under it and also suture it to the ear, then the defect should be much bigger in the terms of width. That is,
Yes, sir.
when it ends at the concha, there is some part of the helix here, isn't it?
Yes, sir. In the
Anti-helix. I mean, anti-helix is still there.
Anti-helix is exposed. Yes.
And the cephalo-auricular angle is maintained. In this case, the cephalo-auricular angle is maintained. So
Yes,
your converse tunnel, the edge of the converse tunnel cannot reach. If the defect had been more, then you will find right at the anterior border of the anti-helix, it reaches the scalp. That is the place where you can make a tunnel and put in the cartilage in the tunnel. Here, the angle is maintained. So if you put a cartilage under the tunnel, the cartilage cannot reach the ear because most of the anti-helix is intact.
Yes, sir.
So converse tunnel procedure will not work here. A modified part of the converse tunnel can work.
Yes, sir.
So any other plan you have? Come with another plan.
Sir, another
Okay,
plan
I'll
is
tell you about how we can modify this converse before we go to. Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
modifying the
Tell me.
converse, I will have to. Yes, sir. I will bury that in the primary setting. I can bury this the part of the rim in the posterior sulcus and suturing the anterior part of the ear to the posterior auricular sulcus, and then and create a tunnel from there.
Yes. First, you can create a pocket in the posterior
Yes, sir.
auricular region to place your cartilage. The incision for that pocket, you should press the ear towards the postauricular region where exactly the defect lies. You see, that is the point you make an incision.
Yes, sir.
You pin the ear to the postauricular region, and the edge of the defect, you make an incision, and from there onwards you create a pocket into which you place your cartilage. And then
Yes,
once you make an incision, you get two layers. One is the posterior and anterior layer. You suture the anterior layer to the anterior layer of the ear and posterior layer to posterior. So now the cartilage will get buried. So instead of doing a tunnel procedure, you can create a pocket and put the cartilage and do the same thing of pinning the ear to the postauricular region. And later during the second stage, you can make another incision posterior to the where you have put the cartilage and raise it. This one is similar to what you do for microtia. You raise it. So that is a modification of creating a pocket by converse procedure. I hope everybody understood. Now come with a second plan. Tell me another plan for this. For middle third
another
defects of
one
the
is
ear,
sir.
what else is there?
Yes, sir. Sir, for middle third of the ear, as the
Yes, tell me.
anti-helical cartilage of this ear of the affected ear is present, I can use the conchal cartilage of the ipsilateral ear or the contralateral ear and covering it with the local flap with the temporoparietal facial flap or the posterior retroauricular flap or a mastoid flap, and later on I will deal with the contour deformity of the ear with a stage procedure.
Hello, anyone there? Hello.
Hello.
Hello, anyone there? Sir, Ravichandran sir.
Yeah, everybody there. I think his net has been lost.
Net has been lost. Again, he's coming back now. How much time is this program going to go on for?
I think till 8 o'clock. It was supposed to be 8 o'clock, I think.
Is it? I thought it was 8:30. Okay. Okay.
Okay, there's not much time, Pratik.
Yes, sir.
See, there's not much time. I'll tell you, there's the flap, the local flap is a Dieffenbach flap. Do you know about the Dieffenbach flap?
Yes, sir.
Have you read about the Dieffenbach flap?
Yes, sir. It's
It is a advancement flap.
posterior auricular skin advancement. That I have drawn the planning of that flap, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. It is the posteriorly based flap.
Posteriorly. Yes, sir.
Once you raise the flap, there'll be a raw area in the post-auricular region. So
Yes, sir.
whatever cartilage you put, the cartilage will be nourished by pinning the cartilage into the donor side. Then the flap climbs over the defect coverage. You understand?
Yes, sir. And
So
Sir,
that
Jagan
is
wants
one plan. And during the second stage, yes. What, madam?
Yes.
I was able to hear. I could see the picture. That is
sir,
right. Now I
sir,
could see the picture.
next three
So
presenters
the
are
cartilage
there,
you put in there will be get pinned.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
let's finish off. They just the planning only. Only the plans only are going to tell. Then the other one is the post-auricular flap, inferiorly based post-auricular flap. You can take it and fold it. Again, it will be a
Yes, sir,
two-stage
for the-
procedure.
Yes, sir.
Then the last one, which we don't want to do, is the cervical tube flap. It's for completion's sake, but it will produce an ugly scar in the neck. And I will
Yes,
ask, there's a one-stage reconstruction. What will you do? That is my last question.
For one stage reconstruction, I can use the temporoparatal facial
One-stage
flap.
reconstruction.
Yes, sir. Temporoparatal facial flap with the conchal cartilage. Hello.
Yes.
Okay,
Complete the
continue.
answer. Complete the
Yes, sir.
answer.
Temporoparatal facial flash with the
Complete the answer.
sir. For the one stage procedure, I can use the
Say with
temporal.
the skin graft.
Finger.
That completes the answer.
Temporoparatal facial flap with the skin graft for the coverage.
Yes. So the plan is, one is converse pocket procedure, Dieffenbach flap, post-auricular flap, cervical tube flap, and the last one stage reconstruction will be the temporoparatal flap. Okay,
Yes, sir.
this is done.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's go for the next presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
The
you.
next presenter is Dr. Anirudh. He is presenting his spotter on the PBC hand. Second year student of CMC Vellore. His HOD is King Slepal. Anirudh, present.
Yes. Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Dr. Anirudh Akumanchi from second year resident from CMC Vellore.
Yes,
Just
I
one
already
second.
told, ma'am.
Are you able to see my screen?
No.
No.
Please share your screen.
Yes, sir. I have shared the
Yeah,
screen. sir.
yeah. Now it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
It's
Anirudh,
like to,
hello, Anirudh.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just
Yes,
show
sir.
me
Yes,
one
sir.
picture. Just show me one picture of the defect
Okay,
of
sir.
the problem.
This.
proceed.
Okay, sir.
Go straight
This
to
is
the
a inspection. Okay, sir.
He'll present
This is
faster.
actually showing the.
No presentation. This is a ward rounds or
Okay,
Findings.
spotter. Okay. Now tell me I don't want to go to the slides. Now, yeah, just this picture, tell me what your plan is. We can all see that it is a post-burn
yes.
deformity. Okay. Tell us your plan.
Yes, sir. So in this
Show the
image,
next
I can
picture.
see the boutonniere deformity of the little finger.
Very good.
For the boutonniere deformity, I would like to actually assess for the movement of the PIP joint. As it is being seen in the image, the extension is not possible in the PIP joint.
Yes.
I would proceed with the arthrodesis of the PIP joint. Arthrodesis being done at the 40 to 50 degree angle.
It is already
yes,
in
that is
almost an arthrodesis position. Why do you want
almost.
to do an arthrodesis now? It is already in a position of 40 degrees at the PIP, isn't it?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why do you want to do
actually,
an arthrodesis?
Yes, sir. I would to ask for any bony ankylosis is present or not. Depending on that, I'll plan for the arthrodesis, sir.
What is the important thing you want to ask here? Before planning for arthrodesis for this patient, what
Yes,
is
sir.
his, does he have pain in the little finger?
Okay, yes, sir.
Because that should be the only indication. It's already in position of arthrodesis, isn't it? Okay,
yes,
forget
sir.
about the little finger. Can you show us the dorsal aspect?
Yes, sir. So this is the dorsal aspect of the right hand.
Yes.
There is a
Yes.
and the ulnar view of the metacarpophalangeal joint. In this view, I can see a narrow first web space dorsally, and also there is appears to be an MCP extension, joint extension contracture in the lateral, in the ulnar view.
Very good, very good. Now, how are you going to address that?
Yes. For the MCP joint extension contracture, I would like to first assess whether the joint and ligaments are also involved, or whether it is only the skin which is involved. On clinical examination, I would like to see for the keeping the wrist in full extension. I would like to see for the range of flexion that is possible at the MCP joint, and based on that, I can assess whether only the skin is involved, or the joint and ligaments are also involved.
Do you think only the skin?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Do you think only the skin will be involved when there is
no, sir. Yes. I think I will the joint and the ligaments will also be involved, and I think so. Depending on that, my plan would be to release the contracture and do a joint capsulotomy, and also release the collateral ligaments and proceed with the flap cover.
Very good. You want to give a flap cover. What flap? What flap?
I'm planning for a pedicled groin flap cover for the MCP joint contracture release. Also, because I would like to release the narrow first web space also in the same sitting, and include the flap to cover the first web space also.
Good. That's enough. That's what I want to understand. You have understood about the contracture. You have understood about the joint problem inside. That should do.
Yes.
I think that is good. Now, there is also a narrowing of the finger web between the index and mid fingers, isn't it?
Second and yes, sir.
Second finger web. Would you like to do something to that?
Along with the scar excision, I would like to give a darting incision into the web space, and include the flap, and use the flap to cover the the second and the third web space.
Okay, good. Now, after doing the release of the metacarpophalangeal joints that you have planned, in what position will you maintain the joint? Will you put in a wire or anything?
Sir, yes, sir. After releasing the MCP joint contracture, I would like to achieve a full up to 70 to 80 degrees of flexion at the MP joint, and I'll be doing a joint capsulotomy also and release of the ligaments, and I'd like to put a K wire inside across the MCP joint and maintain it in the MP flexion of about 80 to 90 degree flexion.
How long will you retain these K wires?
Since I'm planning for this groin flap, I would like to remove the K wires along with the flap pedicle division around 3 weeks.
Okay, fair enough. Good.
In the same sitting.
Good. That's enough. You have understood what the thing is about. Good. That's enough. We'll go to the next case.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anirudh.
The next presenter is Dr. Naresh Kumar. He's a fourth year DNB student from Imphal and Manipur.
Yes, I am here.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Presenting secondary deformity.
Yeah, I can hear.
Presenting secondary lip deformity.
1
Go
minute,
ahead.
sir. I'm showing my slide 1 minute. Can you see my slide, sir?
No. Yeah, now it's coming.
Yes.
The case given to me has the following features: surgical scar over the philtrum with alopecia patch, notching of vermilion with incision show. Right side nostril is comparatively bigger than left side with right side alar notching. Patchy discoloration of base of columella. And maxillary retrusion. The diagnosis is secondary lip and nose deformity of postoperative case of bilateral cleft lip with maxillary hypoplasia.
Okay, you think
investigations
the nose problem is also a secondary problem?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear
Is the
you
nose
properly.
also a secondary problem? The lip is there's a scar around the philtrum, so it is a secondary lip problem. Yes. What about the nose?
Yes, sir. Nose
is it
is
a
also
primary
a
problem or
secondary
the secondary problem?
The nose is a secondary problem.
Secondary due to surgery? After surgery, you think?
Yes, so it's after surgery, which is contributed by the maxillary hypoplasia.
There is a, where exactly is the notch in the nose?
It's on the dome, alar dome, on the soft triangle.
Alar dome. It is crossing the yes, soft triangle. So what type of cleft? If you apply the Tessius cleft, it fits into which type of cleft? What is the number that the cleft which crosses the soft triangle of the nose? What are the clefts that cross the nose, and one that crosses the soft triangle? What is the number? Know the answer?
It's Tessius type 2.
Type 2. Type 1 crosses the soft triangle. Type 2 crosses the alar.
Okay. Yes, sir. Hello? 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 Can you hear me, sir? Hello?
Jagannath, sir. Hello?
Hello?
Maybe sir got disconnected again.
I think I got disconnected again. Sir has got disconnected again.
Yes, sir. Shall we proceed with fourth case, sir?
Yes. We'll finish off the fourth case.
Bharat, are you available?
Yes, madam, I'm ready. I'm ready, madam. I'm ready.
Third year MCS student from Coimbatore Medical College, student of Dr. Ramanathan. He will present his photo.
Good evening, sir and madam. Is the screen visible, madam?
Yes, screen is visible,
yeah.
and you can just tell us what the diagnosis is.
Okay, sir. Sir, I'll be showing you this video, sir. So I've come to a set of diagnosis, but I would narrow down my diagnosis to camptodactyly, sir.
Okay. What is it?
I would also give. It's actually a palmar dorsal deviation of the finger, sir. which is painless, progressive, without any obvious intra-articular or peri-articular pathology.
Okay, now what is your, all that okay?
Yes.
What is your plan?
Yes. Sir, I would like to clinically evaluate the patient before the surgery, sir. Assess the patient thoroughly so that I can anticipate what are the intra-op findings, sir.
Yes.
So I would like to go with the skin initially, sir, to look for any pterygium in the skin or thickness of the skin, sir.
What is the one important test you will do in a case of camptodactyly? Clinical tests.
Yes, sir. I would like to check for the range of movement with MCP joint flexion and extension, sir. And
Very
also,
good.
I would like to rule out extension lag, sir. To check
Yes.
for the this one potency of the central slip, sir.
Yes. Okay.
I would also like to do an okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the
Yes.
angle at the PIP joint now in this patient?
So it's roughly about 25 to 30 degrees, sir.
Okay.
And it's
what is your
more
plan of management? Yes. What is your plan of management?
Sir, I would like to counsel the patient, sir, and the patient attender. I would like to tell them since it's a very mild flexion contracture with minimal extension lag, sir, I would like to go for first go for a conservative line of management, either in the form of a splint, sir. A splint, sir. Usually, a splint is given based on the position of MCP, sir. If the splint has to be continued, I mean, in the children, the splint is given for the finger as well as the forearm. It's continued for roughly for about 8 to 9 hours per day, and it has to be given even throughout the night time, sir.
Okay. So you are going to give us splint for this
Splint,
patient
yes.
because it is less than 30 degrees. You want to give us splint.
Yes. Splint, yes, sir.
Supposing it had been about 80 degrees flexion, what would you have advised? What would you have planned?
Sir, I would like to investigate the patient, sir. I would like to get a lateral X-ray to check for any intra-articular incongruity or peri-articular pathology, sir. To look for basically the joint integrity, sir.
Okay, supposing the joint is soft and supple, but extension is
yes.
not possible, and
Yes. Yes.
there is a deformity
Yes.
of about 90 degrees. What is your plan?
Okay, sir. Sir, I would like to go ahead with surgery, sir.
What will you do?
I would like to explore layer by layer, sir. First, the skin. If the skin is normal, I would like to go with a Brunner's or a multiple Z-plasty incision. If the skin is having any pterygium, sir, I would like to excise the pterygium, sir.
Okay.
So then I'll go for the subcutaneous and sir, I'll continue. Okay. Sir, I would like to then go to the deeper structure, sir. See for the subcutaneous and flexor sheaths, sir. If there is any pathology involving them, then trace the lumbric sir throughout the entire course from the origin to insertion. I would also check for the this one, sir, FTS, whether it is present or not. If present, I would like to know the excursion, sir. Excursion in terms of proximal excursion, distal excursion, and if the excursion is there, if it's normal or not, sir. If excursion is limited, I would like to do a lengthening.
So what is the problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you want to do a lengthening.
Lengthening,
right, that's
sir.
all. That's enough. That's all about camptodactyly. The only other question is, what is the age of this patient?
Sir, actually only photographs are given, sir. History was not mentioned.
History was not. Now,
mentioned.
If you see a patient like this, what is the first thing what will usually be the sex of the patient?
There is a pre-adolescent type of camptodactyly, sir, which is seen in around 11 to 10 years of age in females. That is more prone for severe flexion deformity, sir, with extension lag.
And it is more bilateral. It's more bilateral.
Okay, sir.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Jaganmohan is there. Finish off that case.
Yeah. Can I know what the plan is for the lip?
Yes, sir.
What need to be done for the lip?
For the lip, for lengthening of the lip, I will do a VY plasty. Around 0.5 millimeter from the buccal circles, I will give a transverse incision and I will close it vertically. I will repair the orbicularis oris muscle through this incision.
By that, you will try to correct only the notching of the vermilion. Isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Notching of the vermilion and lengthening the lip, sir.
No. What repair you think has been done? How does it look? What repair has been done?
It's a bilateral rotation
Most
advancement.
probably what repair?
Rotation advancement they done.
What do you call that?
Bilateral.
What is the name?
Millard.
What is the name? All
Millard
lip procedures
rotation.
has got a name. Millard. You see, for a bilateral lip, it looks like a Millard rotation. Millard flaps have been done. Millard procedure has been done.
Yes, sir.
Here, you see there is no Cupid's peak. The Cupid's peak is not there. The philtrum is wide, and the philtrum is like a rectangle, almost like a square.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They've lost
Hello?
connection again, I think. Hello, sir.
James, sir.
I think we've lost connection again. He has a very unstable connection. Okay.
Dr. Lakshmi, you want to ask any questions to him? Because I think it's already getting late, no? 8:35, no? More than 3 hours we have been.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Marathon session of planning.
So, but many of the days it goes on, sir. 8:30, it goes up to 8:30.
Oh, I see.
Today it has been, when the long cases, there are a lot of discussions happen. No?
Yeah, lot of discussion.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. See, the thing is, when you have the discussions in the classes, I mean in the hospitals, it's usually limited by the time. No, you have to go home and all that. But now
Yes,
there is a lot of time. That's very important to have the time for discussion. And but after all this discussion in the examination, it's only going to be 5 minutes.
True, that is true, sir. But the thing is that we would be able to cover many questions that are
exactly.
there. And another thing that I observe is, like, now you can see that there are 26 questions that people have actually put up in the chat box. Yeah. So many of the people who normally in a meeting who would not ask any question, they are all putting messages in the chat box. So it is very good, I think. Things.
I think JJM has come back. He wants to.
Yeah, sir. JJM, sir.
Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
We are able to hear you, sir.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We are able to hear you, sir.
Audible. Okay.
So, yes, sir.
Now the philtrum is almost like a square, and we have to make it into a proper shape. The shape which usually the Mulliken describes is a tie-shaped like thing. Narrow at the top, bottom it is wider, it is sloping on either side. There will be a peaking of the Cupid's peak will be there. We have to design. Because it's quite wide, we can narrow it down. There's plenty of skin available, so we can redesign this flap. So we have to do a complete redo. When we do a complete redo, we can also see that the vermilion muscle can be sutured together and brought down. The vermilion muscle can be advanced to meet each other. Not only that, it can be made to project downwards like a tubercle. So we can redo the lip by suturing the vermilion, by creating the tubercle where the notch is, and we can redesign the shape of the philtrum. And to create the filter dimple, under the prolabium, we have to thin the flap. By that, we can get the filter dimple also. And finally, for the hair, later we can do a hair transplant. So that will be a aesthetic reconstruction of correction of all the deformities seen in the limb. So we have to redo it. While redoing it, we have to redesign it properly. And then about the maxillary dysplasia, it is a much complex problem that may require a leaf level osteotomies, 3-piece osteotomy, and bringing it forward and aligning it, all that. And if the premaxilla is missing, we do not know what is inside the oral cavity. If it is missing, then we have to use a fibula, free fibula, we have to reconstruct it, or we can use a osseointegrated prosthesis. So that maxillary reclusion is a much complex problem, which also can be addressed by orthognathic surgery. Okay, I think that should be enough.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Radharshan?
Sandeep?
Dr. Radharshan? Yeah, yes. Please carry on, Radharshan.
Audio is...
Yes, sir, we are able to hear you.
We are able to hear you, Radharshan.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, there is some audio issue.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Okay, normally it is Dr. Radharshan who takes the opportunity to actually thank all the faculty who participates in this program. So I think because I think
thank
you are
you.
able to hear.
Thank you very much for all your lively discussion.
Yes,
Hello.
we are able to hear you. It's a nice.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, I have some connectivity issues.
Okay,
is the discussion over? Yeah.
Yes, it's over. Are you able to hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, thank
Sandeep,
you, Madam Lakshmi and Sandeep and DSR. Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello.
Yes. Okay, hello. I also want to thank everybody. I am very sorry about the frequent disruptions in the connectivity. I could not do anything about it. I hope the PGs could understand what all has been deliberations, all the deliberations that happened in this meeting. Thank you, everybody.